What's up, vaqueros, and welcome back to the Shotgun Haven. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Modern Warfare 3 beta, and specifically, we're going to talk how the shotguns feel and how they are balanced. I know a lot of people follow me just for shotgun content, and that's kind of what I am on YouTube, is the shotgun guy for Call of Duty, so I wanted to share my input on how they feel, how they're balanced, and if anything needs to change. I've seen people already on Twitter saying that they're really strong and sometimes overpowered, other times people saying they're really weak or maybe even garbage, so I kind of wanted to offer my input on it. If any devs are watching, maybe some certain ways to balance some certain things, and answer the question overall if they're overpowered or not currently. Keep in mind, this is just a beta build, which things are definitely most likely going to change, so just keep that in mind. But as of the current build, I wanted to share my thoughts on them. So if that sounds good to you, let's just go ahead and hop into it. The first shotgun I'm going to talk about of the two we have access to in the beta, besides the one you get from the Juggernaut, which is I think the Origin 12, this one is going to be the Lockwood 680. This is the pump action of the game, and overall I've had a lot of fun with it. We've had a lot of good time to kind of experiment with the gun and try out good attachments, see what works. And honestly, I gotta say, my initial impressions was that this was a pretty bad and subpar shotgun. It was just very inconsistent, barely getting any one-shot kills. But then the next day of the beta hit, like day 2, and it felt like they had buffed it somehow because it was just performing a lot better. I don't know what it was. Maybe they didn't touch it at all, but it felt like it was performing a lot better, and I was getting way more one-shot kills, but I was also still getting some hit markers. It's not the most consistent shotgun, but if you do hit a well-placed shot, you will get a one-shot kill. But like I said, it is a bit inconsistent. Sometimes I got kills where I didn't think I deserved the kill. Other times I was getting hit markers like twice or 3 times when I feel like that should have been a one-shot kill. Like I said, it's just a little inconsistent. It could be a netcode issue, could be my aim is a tiny bit off, or we don't have a really tight spread. Any of those could play into it, but just know that if you're going into this thinking this is a sort of model 680 from Modern Warfare 2019, you're going to be very disappointed. One thing I've noticed in this game in particular is the shotguns that you can have access to do not have very good range. You know how in the other CODs you could kind of get like 2 shots from ridiculous 20-meter distances with them, like again, like the Modern Warfare 2019 Model 680? That's not the case. If you're shooting that far with this thing, you're going to take about 4 or 5 shots. It's really, really rough, but up close, yes, this does one-shot kill, and in fact, the one-shot kill range I was able to get with the first barrel was about the 8-meter mark from just what I could tell. I was testing on someone who wasn't playing, and I got to about the 9-meter mark, and I still wasn't getting a one-shot kill, so I believe it's sitting around that 7 to 8-meter mark. Now, the reason that they're doing this, in my opinion, is probably because the movement has been increased a lot in this Call of Duty, so they're kind of balancing it out and going the infinite warfare direction, where the shotguns, if you remember, initially were pretty bad, but they kind of made up for it with the movement. And in this case, they're not bad at all. It's just that they're relying more on your movement and sort of your finesse ability, so just don't be expecting to one-shot at ridiculous ranges, even with slug rounds. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the way that this thing is balanced. I think currently it's at a good sort of trade-off between having a decent one-shot kill range, but also relying heavily on how good you can move. Of course, you're going to have people using this, they're going to sit behind a doorway or camp behind doors, or, you know, play kind of cheesy and kind of camp their butts off, but that's okay. You're still going to be able to finesse them with the movement in this game, and I think that balances out. You're reducing your one-shot kill range with these things, it seems like, but you're also getting some better movement, so that's pretty cool. I'm happy with it. I really hope they don't buff it too much and make it like the combat shotgun was in Vanguard at launch. I think right now it's in a pretty damn good spot, so keep it as is. Maybe give it a little bit more pellet damage up close so it's a little bit more consistent, but otherwise I feel like it's in a pretty perfectly balanced spot for this beta. Now what I want to do is talk about some ammo types and some other attachments that we had access to for this particular shotgun that I think you should keep an eye out for, especially if you're going to play weekend 2 of the beta. So first, there's 2 attachments you should look out for that boost your rechambering speed, and these are definitely things that you want to try out because they are very good and they take your rechambering speed up pretty damn noticeable. Like, it was actually shooting pretty fast for a pump action. It's something they might have to keep an eye on. It might be a little too fast, I'm not entirely sure, but there is a downside of rechambering accuracy, but I still can't really find how that really plays into it. I have to test in private matches, which we can't do in a beta, so just something to keep in mind. These might be a little too strong given how fast they make you shoot. But another attachment I want to talk about is the bolo rounds on the 680. They're a funny ammo type, which is basically just 2 metal balls with a wire that connects them. So if you can think about it, it's like a chain with 2 balls on the tip of it. It kind of resembles that. And yes, it is an ammo type you can use in real life. But in the game, I found it to be pretty lackluster. If you're expecting to go and sort of snipe with this like a slug shotgun, it didn't really feel that great. It was very sort of inconsistent. Even with the hit detection, it just felt off, and the one-shot kill range didn't feel that great either, even if you hit your shot. So I don't know, to me, it just wasn't very good. I was getting hit markers up close with this thing as well. Maybe it was with limb damage, even though it says it boosts limb damage. Not entirely sure, but I'm not super impressed with these, and I wouldn't recommend running them because they're way more trouble than they're worth. Next up, I want to talk about the full auto shotgun of the game, which is the Riveter, which is a 410 shotgun. And to be honest, my impressions of this one are it's in a fairly good spot overall, but compared to the 680, it is definitely the more lackluster of the two, which I'm okay with. This is a spammy shotgun, and these you have to keep in check very well. It's really easy to make these things overpowered, and it's also really easy to make them pretty crappy. And so far, I think they did a good job with this one because up close and personal, it's taken about 2 to 3 shots to kill from what I can tell. I don't think it can one shot, but it's hard to tell in a public beta where people are jumping around. Really hard to tell that, but I was getting 2 to 3 shot kills, and if I was barrel stuffing, it was very, very effective, and killing people out to about that 5-meter mark was very easy to do with this thing. Now, once you start pushing past that range though, it's going to start to feel very hit markery, and this gun does have a lot of kick if you're using it with its iron sights, which are very obstructive. It can be a little hard to aim down sights, so sometimes you might need to use a sight for this thing, but I did notice, yes, at ranges, this thing was very hit markery, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It really emphasizes you having to close the gap and really hit your shots up close and personal, so you're not just spamming away and killing someone 10 meters away with a couple shots. No, it's not going to work like that. This thing is going to give you a lot of hit markers at range. Do not try to push range with this thing. I'm telling you, it's probably not going to be good for you. Now, there are some cool attachments I want to point out with this one in particular, and the first one I want to mention is there is a 410 gauge ball ammo type, which, if you may remember Buck and Slug from Vanguard, that is essentially what this is. It basically, you lose some pellets, but you get like a sort of slug hybrid projectile in there, and that's essentially what this is. But I did notice you only seem to get 1 projectile with 2 pellets. Now, this may sound really cool, but in practical use, I had a hard time using this, and it may be my aim was way off. Maybe I was hip firing too much and it's only got like 2 pellets or 3 in total, so it's a little odd, but I was not killing many people at all with this thing. It did not feel good no matter what I tried to do with this thing. Aim down sights or kit for recoil just did not feel good at all. Maybe you guys can have better luck with it, but I don't recommend using it right off the bat. I think this one could use a little bit of love. Maybe the slug needs to do more damage or something, but it's a tricky thing to balance. I understand that. Now, we also do have 410 gauge slug, and these actually felt very good. These felt more akin to the Jack 12 slugs from Modern Warfare 2019, and honestly, this might be my favorite way to run the shotgun. It felt the most consistent and the most rewarding at ranges. Yes, you're going to still get a little bit of hit markers, but not nearly as bad as if you're using the base ammo or, God forbid, that 410 gauge ball attachment. Slugs, in my opinion, are the way to go. Just make sure you're using a sight on this thing because the iron sights, not very good at all. I do not recommend it. There is also Dragon's Breath, but I don't have that unlocked. I can't test it. I can't give you my thoughts on it, so I can't really say for certain on anything about it. But there is also a 30-round magazine, which, yep, 30 rounds. We have another spammy shotgun with a ton of ammo. But again, I think that they're doing a good job of keeping it in check because it's very hit markery at ranges, and this thing really only excels very close out to maybe 5 meters, maybe 8, pushing it. I'm just kind of throwing arbitrary numbers based off of how it felt in game. So just keep that in mind. This is more for if you want to have fun, go around and slide cancel and spam your shotgun. This is more for that, but you really got to focus on closing that gap. And again, for the 10th time, do not push range with this thing. So that's just about going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know down below in the comments, what do you think about the shotguns we have access to in the game? Do you like the Lockwood 680? Do you think it could use some love? Do you think it's overpowered? How about the Riveter? Have you tried that 410 gauge ball attachment or whatever it's called? Do you like slugs on it? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.